So hello, everyone. My name is Christine, and I'm here today with Kristen, and this is our 28th episode of a show we've called Walking the Path, where we just really tune in and notice what's going on within us, within the world. Both Kristen and I have been on a path of spirituality, personal development, coming into more love, authenticity, self-care, etc. And so that's the lens we're looking at things from. But of course, both her and I have diverse perspectives and shared perspectives. And so on this episode today, we're just really going to dive in and take a look at what we're both noticing right now in our lives, in the people around us, in the people in our lives, and take the pulse on things and tune in and see what's going to really assist each of us moving forward. There may be something that I say or Kristen says that just can spark something that is encouraging or helps us get in touch with our own truth, our own wisdom, clarity, and the way to move forward. So welcome, Kristen. Thank you for being here with me. Where would you like to begin today?
Thanks for that introduction, Christine. So I think what I'm really feeling strongly as a theme in many conversations I've been having this week is I'm getting this strong feeling more than I have in a while that this turning point in our reality is an opportunity for every one of us to make some really life-changing decisions. It's, it's kind of a moment of truth for all human beings. It's a fork in the road of our evolution as a species. And we're all probably noticing the amount of division and the polarization that's happening. And I think, as we know, in many spiritual philosophies and paths of study, there's this sweet spot in being a human being, being a conscious soul, having a human experience. It's about that middle path. It's about walking that line of balance, and sometimes it can feel like a tightrope. And it's easy to get swayed toward one side or the other, but I'm really feeling the need myself to do everything I can to remain close to that middle path right now. And it's tricky. It's been tricky, and I'm seeing that for a lot of people. And it's almost like we've all been getting these opportunities for our entire lifetimes to make those tricky decisions, to let go of the way we thought things should be, or to be living a life based on what other people think we should be. And it is not easy to take the leaps of faith and follow our hearts and the soul calling. But honestly, if not now, when? I'm just curious what more we as a collective need to happen. Like the ante keeps getting upped right now, and it's just like it's really pushing us. It's really, really squishing and squeezing and pushing us to do and become better versions of ourselves. This is a collective evolution, and it's messy. That's where I'll start.
Thank you. Yeah, and especially those of us who have been on the path of personal development, spirituality, becoming conscious, becoming aware, can sometimes feel these or see these visions of what could be for the earth in the interpersonal realm, in the sphere of relationships, work, money. Essentially, we could envision totally different systems replacing the ones here. And they can be so wonderful to just see. And I've been around people that are so enveloped by those visions, and those visions bring their body so much excitement. They're just like, this is amazing. And I've often been next to them because my body really perceives what is and lives in that place, space, energetic, for better or worse. And so when I'm next to that, part of me feels a little terrified. Like they're really disconnected from the current reality here. And how do we bridge these different worlds essentially? And what some people who use the term 3D and 5D would say the 3D world are that of fear and separation, manipulation, domination, control, punish and reward, positive, negative, good, bad, the polarity, the epitome of trying to get the right life and not the wrong life, and be good and not bad, and just lost in judgment, right? Those who are like, oh, I'm free, I'm liberated. And then it's like, well, where do we go from here? How do we bridge these worlds? And I do feel like we're in a time between worlds, right? We can't really go back, and we don't know what we're going forward into. And in some ways, it does feel like a collective choice point. Like, where are we going to go? I think we each personally choose what world we'd like to live in and make choices in that direction. You know, am I choosing love? And am I looking into the eyes of the person that I'm seeing and honoring them? Or, you know, am I turning my back and putting, you know, a mask on my face and saying, get away, I'm scared, right? We're voting for different worlds. And obviously, the more fear, the more we externalize responsibility. Someone else take care of me, someone else look after me, tell me what to do, how to live, make my future safe, make my family safe, just get me out of this state. I'll do whatever you want. That's the extreme of someone in the state of fear, of externalizing responsibility and authority and agency to someone else to dictate and determine the path. And then also we'll blame that external authority if it's painful and destructive. Or the other one is that internal agency authority that says, oh, I take responsibility for my life. Okay, what does that mean? What do I value? What's important to me? What steps am I willing to take? Who is my ally? Who are my allies? What can we create together? And being invested in that. And I feel like that may be some of the elements of the middle path, where we are taking stock of what's here, what is, and who's here, and what the possibilities are, what steps we can take now, what choices we have. So we're really living in that process, attuned to what is here. But yet it doesn't feel as wonderful, perhaps, as being in that vision energy of this is what the world can be, and it'd be so great, and we'll all be together and just loving and celebrating. And it's really like, and then so the body may feel that, but it can lead to even more dissociation when you go into a grocery store and people are completely disconnected and in fear in their own world. So how do we navigate? And I feel like that's a question each of us will ask ourselves every day. And that's the reality of where we are. So definitely a great conversation to be having, and one that can be diverse in how it's talked about or expressed.
Absolutely. And, you know, this is something I've been a huge advocate of for as long as I can remember, and that's thinking for yourself, intuiting for yourself, you know, feeling for yourself. Because what I'm seeing the majority of people doing right now is they're either completely devoted to the media, to the government, you know, speakers, to supposedly the people who dictate our realities. There's kind of that school of thought, and everything those people says is the truth. It's the final decision, and we must obey what they're telling us. There's that sector of humanity. Then I'm seeing this other absolute opposite situation where people are looking to individuals who seem to profess that they know what's going on in a very esoteric, etheric realm. Maybe they're psychics or channels or whatever, and just absolutely fully surrendering and giving over their belief system to that. And to me, there are two sides of the same coin of basically surrendering your own personal will and your own ability to intuit what's right for you. And I think they're both dangerous realities to live in. And then this is echoing what you're what you were just sharing. And, you know, for me, I think it's nice to take nuggets of information from many different sources. But it's like you've got a basket and you're putting these bits in the basket, you know, and you've got the basket near you, and you know you can pick a piece out if you need some information. But ultimately, I think one of the healthiest and most grounding and most nourishing things that anyone can do, and I feel like I say this a lot, is just sitting quietly, whether you're sitting outdoors in nature in a forest, whether you're sitting by a river or the ocean, you know, or you could be indoors if it's really cold or the weather's not very fun to be out in, you know, find a quiet space. And if you live in a busy household, ask for quiet space, even for 15 minutes. Because if we can't claim this for ourselves, you know, to me, that's a foundational issue right there. And we all need that time to contemplate. And if you are not interested in meditating and you feel like it's not your thing, that's fine. But if you've been telling yourself that for a long time, the thing about meditation is if you're truly just closing your eyes and being aware of your own breathing and nothing else, you've got no people talking in the background, either from the media or the government or from a YouTube channel or whatever, somebody's website. If you can find the ability to shut all that off and tune into your own wisdom and ask yourself what today's update is. What's the latest energetic update today, self? It sounds kind of silly and it sounds so simple, and it is so simple. And so for me, that's been my best tool, is like, yeah, I'm hearing all these things. Fine. Thank you for that information. It's just information. It's not truth for me. My truth only comes from me. And it doesn't mean, you know, my truth works for anybody else. And that goes for all of us. But ultimately, that is the only truth. You know, it's like these other ones are shades of some truth for somebody, but our own truth can only come from our own higher self, our own intuition, and our own deep inner soul knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anything, once we start getting the pulse on that, then when we do listen to something or hear something, it may spark that and say, oh yeah, that feels true, because we already have a sense of what that feels like when we know something's true. And it's also such a unique time due to the level of uncertainty. Sometimes there can be a desire to kind of be part of this vision that's true, but it's kind of a that's true, not a relaxed, grounded, full breath. Yeah, that's true. So it's just noting those differences as well. And so that there is space to have that silence, to have that breath, and to know moment by moment without the need for certainty. And in that living breath, and as we attune to what is, to this alive space of now, you could say, then there can be relief without knowing what's going to happen, you know. And it's just such a unique time. So you said we're bombarded by information, and we may be drawn to some, and even that can be a great thing to reflect on. What information are we each most drawn to? Because it often will reflect what we care about most and what our desires are. So if we're, say, really drawn to these prophetic visions of beauty and majesty and harmony and peace, then that does reflect part of our truth, which is a desire for unity and love and all those things. And then maybe we don't want to look at anything that's about restriction, lack, scarcity, something being taken away from us. No, that's not really happening. We're going towards this. In this moment, we don't know. That's the epitome of transition and the fork in the road energy, the in between. We don't know. And most likely what will actually actualize is different than either of those. And it does become really curious what can also actualize for each of us, because we do each have unique choice points based in our consciousness, our awareness, what we're giving attention to.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'd say is, can we find, this space, this moment to breathe, to check in, to assess, and genuinely contemplate, so that we don't run to someone with answers just to try to find relief that way. It's okay. But when we see, oh, I'm running to them for an answer so I can feel a moment of relief, okay, that's an activity, even a form of entertainment, and that's okay. But what other strategies can bring relief of a different sort that can really help to balance our endocrine system, our nervous system, circulatory system, like really facilitate our body and our physicality to have ease, so that our intuition can speak loudly. It doesn't have to be this little whisper.
Yeah. And there are so many tools and techniques that people can choose from. You know, we've had the fortunate experience in our reality of the world that we just moved out of, that there were all these workshops and courses and trainings and webinars and all these materials that have been available to us for a very long time. And, you know, possibly some people have taken advantage of that and just like filled their toolbox energetically and, you know, materially and, you know, on all the levels. Hopefully people have tools to draw from right now. And this is it, you know. And I was sitting around the campfire the other night and someone said, I don't know what everyone's so worked up about right now. Isn't this what we've all been waiting for? And everyone was like, yeah, this is. We didn't know it was going to look like this, but it's not over, you know. It's not over. It's a process. And I think this, you know, it's the holiday season right now. It's not like any holiday season we've ever seen in our lifetimes, not even close. And I think all material gift giving aside, for me, the thing that I'm gifting myself is that spaciousness. It's allowing spaciousness and stillness. And like you said, when you were speaking, I had this visual of like someone in a tube kind of just floating down a river. And, you know, maybe they come around a bend in the river and things started getting a little turbulent and there's some little rapids, and, you know, their instinct is to grab onto a log or something like that and going, oh my goodness, no. But in this ride that we're on right now, how much can we trust that the river is going to carry us safely to exactly where we need to go without grasping onto something that seems like solid, real information and truth, right? It's like, what if we don't do that? What if we don't grab onto what the government is telling us? What if we don't grab onto what our favorite spiritual speakers are telling us? What if we see them and we're like, hey, what's up? I'm on this ride and I don't know, I heard it's really good, so I'm just gonna see where I end up. I'll call you when I get there, kind of thing. I just really feel like that's where we're at, and it can be really hard to stay in that mindset some days, you know. And there's new information every day coming from all these channels. So at this point for me, I'm pretty much just like ready to shut off all the channels. I've been shutting them down one by one over the last, pretty much for the month of December. I've been like, yeah, that's enough of you. Thanks for your input. Cool. And now it's like this much of my day is spent looking elsewhere for any information because I don't need it. I'm on a path. We're all on a path. And I really feel like the more that we can just trust the fact that we incarnated right now. This is not an accident. And I think ultimately it's a test, it's a challenge. It's this beautiful challenge that doesn't always look beautiful. And it's about human evolution. We're not done, we're not cooked. We're still in the process of becoming this more expansive, more wise, more magical, mystical version of our 3D humanness that we are so familiar and attached to. But no one gave us the recipe, we don't know. And so all I can say is just experiment with seeing how much more you can surrender to this process. We're in the middle of it. We're in the middle of it. We can barely remember the beginning of it. It just seems like years ago, decades ago. But here we are in it. And so just be in it, grasping to these things that seem solid. Well, that's going to lead to disappointment because no one person on the planet knows what's happening right now. And if they tell you they do, be wary.
Yeah. So if anything, it's really acknowledging we are here we are. So I'm assuming most everyone who would watch this has been on the path of self-development, evolution. Who am I? What's important to me? What do I want my life to be about? Purpose, all those sort of inquiries and questions. And we also feel like we have been preparing. And I'm sure many of us, especially since the 2010, 2012, it's like we're preparing for something big. What is it? What is it? What is it? And often the river will take us directly into our pain, where we carry trauma experience with a belief system built based on it that has to be deconstructed. And that's what can feel hard about this is we're like, I trust the river. It'll take me exactly where I need to go. Yeah, it took you exactly where you needed to go to address the belief constructed based in that trauma that prevents you from meeting those people who can really love and be there for you. So we're often faced with our own pain, with our own beliefs that were born out of painful human experiences that our consciousness and these higher frequencies and echelons of light and energy can help us to transmute and transform so we can handle what we carry, release what we've inherited through our family systems and school systems. And it's such a time of purging and purification. So there's that happening as well. So just know that if the river takes you directly into your pain or directly into the truth of the relationship that you're in and what works and doesn't work about it, that there's your invitation to go deeper and know what's important to me. Have I decided that no one ever wants to reconcile? Or can I open to this new moment of, wait, what if this person does desire to reconcile? What if they are willing to have a difficult conversation? Because often we just, through upbringings, we develop all these assumptions based on what our family was willing or not willing to do. So if we're in a family system that just pushed everything under the rug, just move on, don't talk about it, then we often assume everyone's like that. But maybe that tube ride on the river will meet us, put us directly square in front of someone who's willing to have conflict if you come from a conflict averse family, because that would actually be healing, because you could find your own truth, your own voice, and actually have someone that will have a dialogue in a difficult space. And you may come from a family that wasn't willing to have any dialogue the moment there was any hint of conflict. So we will be brought to what we need, and sometimes we'll be brought to our knees. And many of us have already gone through very dark nights and dark years of being brought to our knees and processing deep trauma, grief, sadness, and loss, so that we can be here now, prepared and ready to meet others going through that lost cycle of releasing everything that they've been attached to that keeps them from knowing and being and expressing themselves from love. So we will continue to walk the path and show up, and it may be a tube ride in one moment, it may be a roller coaster, it may be a moment by a still lake in total peace at the majesty of life. So any final things you want to share, with the people watching or listening today, Kristen?
I would just like to wish everyone some moments of peace and stillness in the coming week. I think that's going to be the greatest gift for all of us coming up. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you everyone for watching and listening. And yes, may we find that stillness and that peace and get in touch with these frequencies of light that are coming in, that are in the background, that can help us to heal. They're parts of ourselves that can incarnate and help us to heal and transmute what we've carried from this world of fear and separation. So there is the potential to live in a new world of our making, one step at a time, but from truth, honor, love, and presence. So we'll be back again with another episode. Thank you, everyone. And I wonder what miracles are possible from where we are, given everything we've prepared for, that we can now be part of, living through from grace with grace. Thanks, everyone.